1999, New York City. Luxury cars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, BMWs were disappearing off the streets. No alarms, no broken glass, no signs of forced entry. In just weeks, 48 high-end vehicles had vanished without a trace. Police were stumped. Normally, car thieves left behind scraps, frames, license plates, something. This time, nothing. What they didn't know? They were up against Min Jin Yang, a former Chinese intelligence officer who had turned his military training into a criminal empire. On the surface, he was just another immigrant, driving an old Nissan Altima. But behind the scenes, he ran the largest car theft ring in U.S. history. Jin Yang's skills were unmatched. His team knew every detail about the latest luxury car tech. In seconds, they could disable security systems and vanish into the night. But how did a former soldier from China end up stealing Lamborghinis in New York?
They do it in a matter of moments. They are sophisticated. They know the latest technology on these high-end cars.
His story starts in Shanghai, where he was an elite intelligence officer trained in covert operations, surveillance, and evasion. After leaving the military in the 1990s, Jin Yang saw an opportunity. Luxury cars were scarce in China due to strict import laws. Wealthy buyers were desperate, and Jin Yang offered a solution. Partnering with a local gang, he promised to smuggle high-end cars into the country. Armed with $500,000 from the gang, Jin Yang moved to New York, blending in as Kenny, a quiet immigrant. He set up a fake food storage warehouse to hide stolen cars, carefully crafting a low-profile base. From there, he built a team and a method so seamless, it took years for law enforcement to catch on. This is the story of how one man used military precision, deception, and ambition to outsmart the system and run one of the most sophisticated car theft operations in history. He wasn't looking for flashy criminals or reckless thieves. Min Jin Yang needed disciplined, reliable people who shared his culture and could follow orders without questions. His first recruit was Po Chia, a fellow Chinese immigrant and a trusted right-hand man. Together they built the foundation of what would become one of the most sophisticated car theft operations in history. With a discreet warehouse secured, Jin Yang focused on assembling a team. He didn't dive into the world of petty criminals. Instead, he sought out professionals. Through connections, he met Dean, a seasoned car thief with a knack for logistics. Dean introduced him to Mario Lopez, a technical genius who could bypass even the most advanced car security systems. Mario wasn't just a thief. He was an artist with technology, and his skills became the backbone of the operation. What set Jin Yang's network apart was its structure. He created layers of separation so no one could directly link the operation back to him. Orders flowed down a chain of command. Dean handled logistics, Mario managed thefts, and Po Chia oversaw the warehouse. Each member knew only their piece of the puzzle, ensuring secrecy. The thefts themselves were surgical. Targets were scouted in advance, luxury cars parked in affluent areas. Using advanced tools, Mario's crew could disable alarms and start engines in under a minute. No broken windows, no brute force, just precision. Stolen cars were parked in upscale neighborhoods for 48 hours to check for trackers. If the coast was clear, they were moved to the warehouse, where they were meticulously prepared. Trackers removed, scratches buffed, and systems reprogrammed. By the time the cars were ready to ship overseas, they looked brand new. The operation was flawless, polished to military precision. Cars vanished without a trace, and for years, law enforcement had no idea who was behind it all. Jin Yang's empire ran like a ghost, operating in plain sight but always one step ahead. He used a network of shipping companies to create fake paperwork, labeling stolen cars as food or industrial goods. But that wasn't enough for Jin Yang. Containers were routed through multiple ports, sometimes traveling cross-country, to avoid suspicion. The final step? Transfers in international waters, where the cars were loaded onto new ships with fresh manifests, this time listing the actual contents, high-end luxury vehicles bound for China. By the time the cars arrived, there was no trace of their origins or the crimes behind them. Over 5 years, Jin Yang's operation stole thousands of cars and generated millions in profits. But it wasn't just the money that shocked investigators. It was the precision. Every detail, from scouting to shipping, was orchestrated like a military operation. To law enforcement, the entire scheme seemed impossible. High-end cars vanished from New York streets without a trace. No chop shops, no spare parts, no leads. Months turned into years, and frustration grew as the case became a black mark on the department. Then one night, everything changed. A reckless driver crashed a stolen car, and during questioning, the suspect cracked under pressure. He named names, including Dean, the man who coordinated the thefts. Finally, police had a lead. Surveilling Dean wasn't easy. He was careful, avoided patterns, and trusted no one. But patience paid off. Investigators began connecting him to Mario Lopez, the mastermind behind the tech. Wiretaps and hidden cameras started unraveling the operation, but the true leader remained a mystery. Jin Yang, or Kenny, as they knew him, was a ghost. He left no trail, never showed his face, and communicated in cryptic codes. Every time police got close, he slipped away. Desperate, the investigators upped their game. They planted GPS trackers on shipping containers and set up hidden cameras around the suspected warehouse. For the first time, they could trace the stolen car's journey, not just across the city, but across the country. The operation was coming into focus, and Jin Yang's empire was finally within their reach. Jin Yang's car theft operation was a masterpiece of precision and planning, but even perfection has its limits. For years, the network had outsmarted law enforcement, stealing luxury cars, shipping them overseas, and erasing every trace. But success bred arrogance. By the early 2000s, the gang began cutting corners, skipping critical steps like vetting stolen cars for trackers. One slip, a BMW still broadcasting its GPS signal, led police directly to the gang's warehouse, the heart of Jinny's empire. Instead of raiding immediately, investigators set up 24/7 surveillance, watching every move. Over time, careless communication and sloppy mistakes revealed more warehouses and key players. Finally, the police struck. A pre-dawn raid dismantled the operation, uncovering stolen cars, counterfeit documents, and the tools of their trade. Jinny himself was arrested miles away, unaware his empire had crumbled. Known to his crew as Kenny, he was actually Min Jin Yang, a former Chinese intelligence officer who had turned car theft into an art form. Years of meticulous planning ended in one critical misstep, bringing his once impenetrable operation crashing down. Jin Yang had turned military precision into a criminal empire, stealing thousands of luxury cars and amassing over $75 million. But when the police finally arrested him, the victory felt incomplete. The cars? Gone. Shipped overseas. Their trails erased with fake documents. The money? Untouchable. Hidden in accounts beyond the reach of U.S. authorities. In the end, Jinny was charged with enterprise corruption and sentenced to just 10 years. A small price for a fortune and a legacy of stolen vehicles. To this day, not a single dollar of his wealth has been recovered. What do you think about this story of deception and downfall? If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life crime stories.